probably be, I don't know, Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is a really cool movie. With my favorite scene in like pretty much any movie is that Big Daddy death scene, where him and fucking Kick-Ass, they're like tied down, and then little hit girl runs through with the fucking camera flashing, and he's just screaming while he's on fucking fire, and yeah, that's another movie. I don't know. Have you seen the movie Men?
No.
It's crazy. Like, the ending, kind of spoiler alert, I don't even know what the movie's about, but like, at the end, the dude, like, starts giving birth to himself, and then that baby gives birth to itself, and it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it doesn't explain shit. Like, the whole movie, like, it's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. Like, it starts off, she moves to some country town just randomly, like, to get away because her boyfriend killed himself, and then she comes here, and then it's a bit weird, and then at the end this just fucking random scene comes out of nowhere, and he's just shitting out a baby of himself that then shits out a baby of himself. So
Austin. See all these cars.
it wouldn't be really like an open mic, more of you got 1 week to figure out how you fit into this show. So learn your set, get up there and make it go crazy sort of thing. fumble my words when I'm put on the spot with shit. So
That's okay, man.
gotta think about cause in Sydney, the only major thing that has happened in my life was really shitty. I was staying at a hostel in the city, and then this one cunt, bro, he just fucking, we were all right, smoking, having chats and stuff with each other. And then one day, I say to him, hey bro, you know, Melbourne just opened their cannabis clinics. And he just looked at me, he's like, fuck you say, bro? What the fuck? Even if they did, they wouldn't fucking talk to you. And I was like, what cunt? I was just telling you. And he's like, yeah, I'll go fuck yourself, blah, 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 blah. And I started laughing at the cunt, because I thought he was playing around. And then he wasn't playing around, so I was like, oh, okay. Closed my door, stopped talking to him. And for the next fucking week, he's just going around talking about me, yeah, this cunt, he's fucked up. He's he doesn't know shit. He thinks he's better than everyone. He thinks he's smart. I'm just like, bro, I just told you they opened a weed clinic in Melbourne. What's your problem? And then I went up to him finally. I'm like, bro, you need to shut the fuck up. It's unnecessary. It doesn't need to be happening. And then he starts yelling at me okay, everyone, if you got shit out, hide it. I'm calling the police right now. And everyone was like, bro, why the fuck, what are you calling the police for? And then we had this big fucking argument overnight. And then the next morning, I wake up and there's 10 police officers at the front door saying, alright, you're coming with us, mate. And they fucking arrested me and took me in for telling this cunt to stop talking about me, because he went and told them I beat the shit out of him, I fucking knocked him to the ground, I was punching him in the face. And I'm like, okay, if I was doing that, where's your evidence? Where's his bruises? And he had a little bruise on his arm, the size of a fucking fingernail. And that was his evidence that I beat the shit out of him for about 30 minutes the night before. And I was like, okay. So I just started screaming at the fucking cops, fuck yous, I shouldn't be in here, you dirty cunts, blah, blah, blah. And then I was on bail for about a year because of that. Pretty much all of it got, got cancelled, I guess. I didn't get charged with any of it because they realised how fucking stupid the whole thing was. The only thing I got charged with was apparently intimidating a police officer, because I told him I'd go fuck his wife and beat the shit out of his kids, which probably shouldn't have done. So other than that, in Sydney, I've just been working, studying at the moment, not really getting too far in terms of money, but making it by pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much been my Sydney experience.
So I know I'm putting you in the spot and stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, in June 2020, I was living in Brisbane, studying, doing a bit of TAFE there, and then COVID hit, and all the classes got cancelled. So I went down to Byron Bay to meet a friend who was going to teach me how to surf. I still don't know how the fuck to surf. But yeah, we went down there, and then I was down there for a couple of days, and then they just closed the border like that. 6 p.m. tonight, it's closing. It's can't give me some more time than that. What am I meant to do now? So then yeah, I stayed there, partied there for a bit. It was a very interesting experience. Did DMT for the first time. That freaked the shit out of me, but it was really cool. But yeah, I felt sort of weird being there, just getting drunk and high every day for 3 months. So I moved down to Sydney. Tried to follow my passions a bit, which was a bit hard because of COVID. Not really many things going on for that whole period. So I found it very, very lonely and very frustrating not being able to do anything that whole time. But yeah, now that all that's done, I'm getting back into it. I'm trying to go on that path that I originally wanted to go on, because yeah, I was forced into it, so I might as well make the most out of it. And it's why the fuck are we going to Bali if we're all just seeing the same cunts? We're all just the same people. Why don't we just go vinyl room or some shit like that? But
Kid was falling over.
I thought something was going terribly wrong there. Love pretty much the cultures, like even though it seems like that's what a lot of people hate about Sydney. I just love that, like, it feels like I've always said to people it's like a modern day Constantinople, or Australia is, where it's just every culture around the world just coming and living as one, and it's like this fucking um, on the good days when there's not Cronulla riots and shit like that. But yeah, it's a nicer place, nicer on the eye, easier to get around. Shit's very fucking expensive though. Um, yeah, I can't really think of what I really like too much about Sydney. I can't say too much else about any of the other shit. Making money is very easy down here. Making money is very easy in Sydney. Um, yeah. Hour you could be working a new job. You could have $100, not 100, couple hundred in your bank by the end of the day. Um, but that's also used by a lot of fucking exploiters. A lot of, especially in the construction industry, there's a lot of fucking cunts just trying to exploit the workers. And like all those labor hire companies, they're like the biggest fucking scam. Like instead of working for one company and paying your people a proper wage, for some reason there's a middleman now. Hundreds of these middlemen that be like, come work for us. But then they just send you to the company that needs workers while taking $20 off the top of your pay from them. Like, what is that bullshit? Um, but yeah, I can't really think too much else. Perhaps I don't deserve nice things. The thing about writing is I can't tell if it's healing or destroying. I've been watching The Boys. The Boys is a really fucking cool movie. Not movie, TV show. The ending was kind of shit, you know, they're all superheroes with all these world-breaking powers, and yet they're fighting in this little room, not using their powers at all. Herogasm was a better episode than the finale. That should have been the finale. Like, they really need to put the budget up on that. What else? The Walking Dead. I've been waiting for The Walking Dead to come back. Season 11 finale, final half of the season is almost out. They got some Nazis and shit in it now for some reason, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Yeah, I'm kind of blanking at the moment on this one. What wanted me originally to do directing when I was younger, basically just, I love movies. I didn't really have much else but movies, you know. I'd be downloading I still do it, I just download like all the latest films I see, just to see like what someone's done with it. And it's very hard for me to hate a movie, because like, especially from like a directing point of view, unless it's like, there's obviously some real shitty movies out there, but you always got to think like that someone told the cunts like exactly how to do this and that and that, so like bagging on a movie, it's kind of hard because you're bagging on that person. And I always just saw that like directing as a extension of yourself, like it's showing the world what's sort of in your mind, and I always found that really cool and something I always wanted to try doing. Yeah. Music. When I was 16 years old, I went to my first music festival, and that completely changed my life. Like seeing how thousands, I think it was thousands, it was a very small festival, but thousands of people could just come together, like huddled, like a fucking, I don't know what the word would be, but all just huddled together and dancing and laughing and like having fun together, like feeling the same experience and shit. And that really made me want to do something like that myself, you know. And since that like opened my mind to it, because before that I listened to like Eminem and Linkin Park on repeat. I didn't know anyone else, and now like since it just opened my mind to like what music could be and what music can do, and it made me want to study music production so I can create my own shit. I wouldn't say I'm the best at it, but I'm getting there, and I want to help people mainly to be able to do that with themselves. So I guess, I don't know, that's sort of the producer part that I want to study, so I can be like that mentor and throw my own shows and make people feel that same experience. Really is, yeah, that's like the whole thing with the music. I want to start my own record label one day. That'd be really cool. Get my own venue and just throw these crazy shows, like, because in music I feel like there's a lot of capitalism at the moment, and like you can't do this unless you go here or do this or that, or you need these connections. I just want to open my own venue, and any artist can come in and they'll be like, hey, I got this song, if it's a good fucking song, you're on stage tonight, you know, you're part of the show. It'll be like the most unstructured, like crazy thing, but yeah, like I just want to mesh shit together, like mesh acting, mesh fucking music, production, plays, whatever, all of it into this one big show, and just have those weekly nights of just fucking chaos and fun. And that's the main Hi, is this the scam center in Newcastle? Yeah, it is. Oh, that's good to know. How much? Yeah, at least admitted it. No, they don't want to talk to me anymore. Fucking dirty. At home, build your dream life. I don't know about that. I might have to fix the housing prices before that happens. Voice activated caffeine fix. You see, they must make these newspapers for just fucking rich people.
Probably.
'Cause, like, there is not a single person on a normal job that'll ever have a hedge like that, a lawn like that. That's just fucking bullshit. Complete setup photo. No one farms like that. You get yelled at constantly at a farm.
Have you worked on a farm?
Yeah, I worked on a pineapple farm for a month before me and my friend got fired.
What happened there? What's the story behind that?
The story behind that?
About arriving at the farm, getting to the farm, working on the farm and getting fired.
Well, yeah, I found it on Gumtree when we were 17. He'd just come out of school. I was already out of school for a while. And they were paying, like, I think it was $28 or $30 an hour, and that was like the most money I'd ever heard of getting an hour in my life. So I was like, fuck, I'm doing this shit. And it was in Rolling Stone, about a 40-minute drive north of Townsville. So I was like, hey bro, I'm not going to this random farm by myself, like, come with me. He was like, go on. So we went up there. We had to pay $80 a week for our little room that we were in, and it was all just international people we were working with. A couple of people from Townsville, locals as well, but everyone pretty much lived up there. And then, yeah, everyone smoked there. Like, that was where we met, like, our main fucking drug dealer for, like, our later years in Townsville, our later teenage years. Frenchie, I miss him. I don't know what happened to him. I think he's in jail now, but who knows. He was a cool dude. But speaking on the weed thing, is we were, like, there was this big sign, like, big fucking sign at, like, the staying quarters, and it had all the rules. It was like, no being loud after this time, no this, no that, rah rah rah. And right in the middle it said, no smoking, no drugs. And we thought we were the funniest cunts out, so we got our bong, a big bag of weed, and we posed next to the sign, and took a photo of us, like, smoking. And then this one chick who worked there, she was friends with a girl I used to date, and she hated us, and she saw that photo, and she showed them the bosses. And then the next day he's like, alright, you boys are gone, like, we can't have that shit, like. And then got fired, lost one of the greatest jobs we ever had. But there was one time on the farm I'll never forget. We were picking the pineapples, and I think the trailer was almost, because like they're on these big conveyor belts, and like you pick, you walk, you put them up, pick, you walk, you put them up, and the conveyor belt was running out of fuel. I think we were running out of water, and then Rodney, the boss, he was like, alright, somebody needs to go grab some water, who can drive? And I was like, yeah, I can fucking drive, even though I couldn't drive. So he gave me his keys, I got in his ute, and I started driving through the farm, and I was like skidding along pineapples and ruining shit, like accidentally. I didn't know how the fuck to drive this thing. I thought it was the funnest shit ever, just going around. And then his brother saw me, like he was down in some big machine, and he saw me doing it. So I come back, and as soon as I hop out of the car, Rodney takes off his glove and he just fucking whacks me over the head, just fuck you, who do you think you are? And I was just like, fuck bro, my bad. And then it was the most awkward shit for the rest of the day. And then he came and he was working next to me, and I think he sort of felt bad for like whipping the shit out of me over the neck. So he was just there, he's like, so how's your family? So tell me about yourself, Austin. Like trying to build a little relationship there after he was just completely abusive. And but yeah, no, that was the funniest shit that ever happened to me. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, what else is in that pipe anyway?
Old lady watering her plants. At home with Colin Fassnitz. Everybody's favourite nobody. $68 for a pillow that says Paris. The full experience. Point Piper, Vaucluse, Bellevue Hill, Rose Bay. So yeah, this is definitely a rich person magazine, or whatever it's called, newspaper. There is not a single person I know that will ever afford anything like that. My nan's a real estate agent actually, and I always tell her like, you've got one of the fucking, what's the word? Not disrespectful, but like stupid jobs in the world. Lazy jobs, exploitation jobs. Like you do nothing. Not that I think my nan does nothing, I love my nan, but anyone that's a real estate agent or a landlord is a fucking retard. And they need to do something with their lives rather than get people to pay their loans for them. Like rich and extreme creativity. And my uncle actually, he just fucking bought a house, and he's a landlord I guess now, and he's trying to, well he was gonna try and get people to rent it, but I told him like, pay your loan yourself. Like, no other person should have to pay rent, which is really just your loan being paid off because you took a loan you couldn't afford, in a house that you don't even want to live in. $7 million for a fucking house in Strathfield. Median highest price 1.3 mil. Units 781k for a fucking unit. Houses you can get for 300k. it's 2,683 rather, that are over $1 million. Selling Houses Australia. Grand Designs Australia. Get a real job. Reality TV renovators not immune, as material costs and delays provide serious challenges for construction. Well, no shit. Just because they're a reality TV star doesn't mean it's going to be any different for them. Also with this putting on a pedestal of reality people. And the thing I hate about these fucking ads is like they talk about all these things and like the prices as if it's a normal thing. Like, yeah, just pay a couple mil, it's all good. Just pay a couple mil for somewhere to stay. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you can't afford it, just pay a couple mil. Interesting read. Brings up a lot of hate in me, talking about real estate agents and properties and landlords. I really think they are the bottom of the barrel when it comes to human beings.
It's interesting.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's always been a class system, but...
Well, 20 years ago you could buy a house for fucking 40k.
What about voting history?
Voting history?
You heard about that?
No.
Like, the only way to cast a vote in democracy if you own property.
Really? When was that? That would have been like 100 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much, kind of 100, 200.
I know, wasn't it only? It was only like the fucking 60s, I think, when they finally let Aboriginal vote.
Probably.
Like count, like in their own country, like.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah. And see, I love Australia because although we've had pretty questionable history in terms of correctness, I think now Australia is like the shining example for what a country should be. But then shit like this comes in where it's all the people from overseas, they see that shining example and they want to make it like overseas where everything's overpriced and expensive, and then it sort of ruins the Australianness of Australia, I feel.
Yeah, that's slowing down since COVID started. Nobody's coming in. Yeah, apparently for years the only way you can vote if you're a white guy and own property, you can vote for a while. So
fucking, you can vote. They'd probably only let them vote, but they'd send whoever to the army if they wanted them. Like, go get killed for me. You can't vote for me, but go get killed for me, man.
Yeah, that was another thing too. If you wanted to vote, being a part of the draft was the case as well.
So glad there's not a draft anymore. Like, no cunt would listen to the government if they tried drafting them these days. I think, except for maybe somewhere like America, since they're real patriotic.
I think that's still the case in the States.
They got a draft. I can't picture like.
But only in an active war, though.
Yeah.
Like when there was an actual war, but outside an actual war, you don't get drafted. Does that make sense?
I think I'm pretty sure they got rid of the Australian draft and like. Yeah, I remember because I only know this part because I was an extra on this show, and I played a dude coming out of prison because I was drafted to the Vietnam War, and I was like, fuck you, and then they just sent them cunts to jail for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to go to war. It's like, you don't fight for us, you can't do anything. Like, fucking retarded.
What time is it anyway?
11:56. If that excuses her murdering a fucking taxi driver. Like, fair enough. Lesbians and the LG plus community weren't really that looked upon greatly back then, but I don't think it's an excuse for murder. Shouldn't really make her too nice about that. But look at this. The fucking comics. How are you meant to get any sort of fucking story from these when it's 3 per fucking story? Like, what are you meant to do? Go to the fucking newspaper once a week just to get those 2 little extra panels to learn about what's going on in your story? It's a bit fucking stupid. Those look nice. Yeah, I can see why people don't read newspapers anymore. This shit is just fucking retarded. Like, look at it. It's got the little, I think that's the female symbol there. Free Sandra Wilson. Why is she still in jail? Because she murdered a fucking taxi driver for no reason. Alright? Her being a lesbian doesn't excuse that. I know lesbians, they don't murder people. He can go fuck himself. Just because he's a piece of shit. Like all billionaires. Crazy how he can give himself millions of dollars extra a year, but he can't pay people properly. That's a bit strange. And I like that outfit.
Good away for that guy, yeah. It's going to be a common factor when you kill me. A common problem. Hang on, alright. Wait once. Like, what kind of movies you like to make?
Well, there's this one that I'm sort of working on the script and like the show Bible to get it all sorted out and maybe send to a couple of things like Netflix. Still a long way away from that, but it's about this video game Barbarian from like 1982, and it's just like this punching game where this wizard steals the princess from the kingdom, like very typical sword and sorcery type shit, but he's got to fight his 7 warriors before he can make it to the wizard to get the princess back, really. And like, I just sort of had this idea, and like, I want to make that into like this either big fantasy type, like Lord of the Rings, not like Lord of the Rings, but like that same big feeling to it, of just this fucking barbarian that gets like not taken, but like told by the king, like, alright cunt, you're in our kingdom, like he's in jail or some shit, and, like he's got to he keeps like sending out the warriors and they all die, so he sends this barbarian dude, and then it's just like this big adventure, and then he makes it to the wizard's cave or dungeon or whatever it's called, and he's got to fight all 7 of these champions, all different like skills or weapons or whatever, species, whatever, and yeah, I just want to make like big, fantastical, epic type things, because I feel like there's not really a lot of that. Like, we have superheroes, we have Lord of the Rings, even though it's 20 fucking years old, and there's a new TV series coming out, but a lot of movies now just seem to me like they're made for money, which obviously they are, but they completely get rid of all of the storytelling aspect and the actual film aspect of it that's meant to be like, wow, that was interesting. Like, now it's all just, they throw in a politically correct joke, or like, not that there's anything wrong with like the LGBT stuff, but like, they force it into everything now, even if it doesn't have to do with the story. It's just like, they put it there, and the only thing I see wrong with it is they use these characters not as a storytelling device or because they're part of the story, but because they want that character there, and their whole personality is being like gay or trans or something, rather than making a movie around that. It's just like, okay, you're this, we'll put you in there so that we can get more money from your community, sort of thing. And I think stuff like that, and all studio politics is like, this needs to be this length, or this needs to say this, rather than just telling a story from someone's perspective. Like, movies don't feel like they're coming from one person anymore, which usually they don't, but like, the idea is always there of what they want to do, and people usually help them get to that. Now I feel it's just like studios are taking a story and then butchering the fuck out of it to fit their own programming and how they think cinema should be, really. And yeah, I sort of, it's the same with music. I want to get past that, because like, a lot of music is the same way. They tell their artists, you need to do this or that, give me all your money while you're at it, and then the artist is left with nothing, hardly any of the money they made, and a lot of music that they probably didn't want to create the way they wanted to create it. And yeah, like, Lil Peep made a documentary, or he didn't make a documentary, it was made after he died, and he sort of had the same views on like music and shit, how like, it's just too capitalistic now, like, it's all just about money and fame and all this, rather than like the actual art of it anymore. So I think like the one thing I want to work towards is bringing that back. Instead of people thinking they need to fit into some mold to make it, they can make it if their ideas are actually good. Yeah.
What do you think about like music publishing and stuff? And
Music publishing?
yeah,
As in?
meaning like you sign to a record contract,
Yeah.
but it's all they're using your money rather than kind of like company money.
Yeah, it's fucking retarded. Like, they'll give you a $6 million loan that you have to pay back to them before you make any music. I mean, before you make any money. So like, that it's like, that's sort of what I was touching on, is like, they're all just slaves now. They're not making what they want to want, releasing what they want to want. Like, they're just doing it because they're told they have to do this in a certain time frame, and they gotta make this amount of money for the company, even if they're not getting anything out of it. Like, Dr. Dre is like, what he does is crazy. Like, this cunt sits on tracks and albums for years because he doesn't think it's good enough yet. Like, he's been working on, I think, who knows if he's still working on Detox. Like, he says he is, but who the fuck knows? There's like conspiracy theories it's in a time capsule to be opened in 50 years from now. But like,
I haven't heard that.
Of
the conspiracy theories about his album.
No, yeah, like, a lot of people think there's like, it's in a time capsule, he's gonna release it when the time's right, or it's gonna release after he dies. But yeah, what he does is crazy. Like, he's not just gonna release it for the sake of money or this or that.
He officially has like 2 albums and stuff or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's only got Compton and 2001 for his only 2 albums.
And the thing is about 2001, he's like on vocally, he's like on 6 songs or something.
Yeah. He's just like a producer of the whole thing, and that's sort of the role I want to take. Because like I don't really have much singing or rapping skills, but I sort of want to, because in my mind I know what's good, and like I just want to be able to get other people to work on that and make something better. Yeah, I don't think it exists any longer. Well, probably like the greatest song of all time would be "Lose Yourself to Dance" by Daft Punk. There's just something about that song, like you put it on full blast, and it just feels like you're in a completely different world, and like puts you in that mindset that like fuck everything else, like come together and dance, come together and just have fun. You know, you don't really have to put much thought into it. You just got to move your body. Same goes for Igor by Tyler the Creator. That whole album is just a complete fucking dance fest, and it really like delves deep into the emotions of a breakup and like a relationship, and like the highs and lows of like, alright, I need to get you back, alright, fuck you, I don't care anymore sort of things. And just the whole way that album's produced and all the sounds out of it, it's just, that sends you to a completely different world as well. And that's sort of the music I want to create, or help create at least. Just stuff that it can mean something, but like at the same time, the main meaning I want people to take from it is like just, I don't really know how to put a word on it, just like just something that makes you move and like makes you feel like you're heard, sort of. And yeah, that's as much as I can think of for that one. Yeah. Talk about them. Well, this is sort of a third eye sort of tattoo. It's not finished and it's completely wonky. But I couldn't afford to get the whole finger done, so I've just got the little eye there. This one, yin yang. I think everyone sort of knows what yin yang is. It's the good and the bad and the good. This little extra circle probably has no meaning to it. That was on album cover and I thought it looked really cool. And this, can't say I know much about the Ankh cross other than that it's the symbol of life. And basically I was just really fucking depressed when I got that, and looking at both of them really just sort of let me know that like there's something watching over you, someone to help out. Yeah, it's not really too deep meanings on all of these. I've got this for Linkin Park, greatest band ever. I listened to them religiously from the time I was 6 until probably 15. Can't say I listen to them too much anymore, but I can probably recite every single lyric off that album. I cried like a fucking bitch when Chester Bennington passed on my 17th birthday it was, so that was a kick in the gut. Not to make it about myself, but it was very sad that he died. And yeah, their music, it's all about, it really delves deep into, I don't know, depression and getting over it and coming out on the other side, I guess. I think the biggest difference in New South Wales is the people. The people here are very different, I think, to Queensland. In Queensland, everybody sort of seems like your family, like no matter where you go. In Byron Bay, it was definitely like that, probably because it's closer to the Queensland side than the New South Wales side, but New South Wales is, yeah, the people seem a lot more closed in here, or sort of into themselves, which is, I guess, not a bad thing, but bad thing if you're coming from somewhere else where it's not like that. And New South Wales is also very fucking big. Queensland, I think, is bigger, but New South Wales, you can get around everywhere so much easier. Like, I can catch a fucking train up to Newcastle or down to Canberra and just use my fucking go card, or whatever it's called down here, the Opal card. It's much colder. It's very fucking cold down here. And even when I was younger, like, I mean, I guess it was never really cold, but it was always super fucking hot. And like, if I wore this, I would be sweating my balls off for fucking days. But now this barely keeps me fucking warm. I'm freezing like a cunt. Yeah, but there's definitely a lot more opportunity, I think, down here compared to back home. But that's, yeah, can't really think of too much. Is that the same way goes, like, you ever need like an actor or extra or anything like that? Just very, not that it's a bad thing, just very, very into themselves. Like, thinking, there was this one girl who was in my acting class, and every time she got a call, she's like, and it wasn't even in like a joking, playful way, she's like, I know it's Marvel this time, I know it's Marvel, like, they finally know who I am, and then it wouldn't be Marvel, and she wouldn't talk about it ever again. Have you ever played Red Dead?
My brother has.
Last of Us? Have you played The Last of Us? You're missing out on all the good. The Last of Us, when that came out, I was 13 and my uncle bought it. And then I took it from him and played it non-stop for like 13 hours till I finished it. That's how fucking good that game is. Since we're go anyway.
Nah.
Like, cause I made like a couple. If you want, I'll show you this stupid little short film. It's only like a couple minutes long that I made when I was 17. What the fuck? There's only 3 fucking things per comment. Do shit, but like pretty much can't say everyone because that's like generalizing a whole population, which is you can't do. But like, COVID just made everyone so much more closed in, and like wanted to do their own shit, which fair enough. Like, because when there wasn't all that extra shit during COVID, you had to like get your head on straight and do something. So I think that sort of mentality has passed over now that it's done. Well, it is done, as much as the government wants to tell us COVID is still a big problem.
Yeah. To an extent, I get it when they had all the lockdown laws and restrictions and stuff, whatever. I kind of get people like, no, I don't want to do all that shit sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I ever listened to any of that shit.
Yeah.
Like, when the first lockdown happened, like catching the train down, like no cops even cared. And it was so easy because there was no one else on the train, no one on the streets.
Yeah.
Like, you could get anywhere fast as fuck. So.
Yeah, I'm more complaining 'cause like my life didn't get affected or anything like that either. So I was kind of like went on about my business sort of thing. But I think people like when the cops actually started handing out fines a bit, that's when people were like, oh, what the fuck, no. But
Yeah, I'm lucky. I never got a fine. I would never have paid it either. I think I've got about $1,000 in unpaid fines for other shit. I hope they don't come after me.
oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then they butchered a bunch of Aboriginals. They're saying that they were savages. But who was really the savage there? Yeah, I don't know who that dude is. He's probably important.
Hello.
Probably done some important things in his life that I'll probably never know about. I don't know what the hell that is. The little dude.
Oh,
Finger like that.
let's go. I'll show you. I know what it is. Hang on.
Have you seen all the ones with ScoMo? He's got like the Joker makeup on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You graffiti, you are a loser. Whoever made that is a big fucking loser then.
I think that's supposed to be mural art though.
Hey, Trumpy. How you doing, brother? You see this?
Yeah.
You see what he said about Elon Musk? Is like, because Elon Musk was like, yeah, fuck Donald Trump or some shit. And then he wrote this like big long post like, yeah, well, without all of my millions of dollars in funding, all of your useless projects would be even more useless than they are now.
Yeah.
I could have told you to get on your knees and beg and you would have done it.
Yeah. There's another one there.
You graffiti, you are a loser. They really don't want graffiti around here. I think those look worse everywhere than graffiti would.
Yeah. It's rich people.
Yeah, there are different species there.
There's another one there too.
Where?
There, oh, there, yeah.
You let them graffiti at that point.
Yeah, I know. I think they're kind of asking for it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We put up enough signs telling people not to do it, they didn't do it.
I know what we can do now. Take you to the harbour bridge. Actually,
I'll tell you about when I first came to Sydney in COVID, when I couldn't find much work.
yeah.
A way that I like explored the place, I guess. Like I went all around the west and the east, not so much the north, but the south as well. There was this app, and like they put on it jobs like at all these little, sort of like mystery shopping, but like they were all $5 to $20 each depending on what the job was, and you just go into a random convenience store and then take some photos of like their setup and send it to their head office, and they pay you for it. So I was doing that, and I walked around like so many different areas, found so many cool places out west and shit, just doing that. I just spend days just walking around doing that, maybe make like $50. And then one time, because like it's such a stupid app, they tell you to go into these shops, like people's place of business, and start going around taking photos, but you're not meant to tell them anything. So you go in there, and like sometimes they'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? And you'll show them, like, it's on the app. Like, oh, I'm just doing the app photo. And they're like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Like, don't be taking photos in my store. And then one dude got like super fucking angry at me. He's like, no, don't do it. I'm like, bro, I'm just taking a photo. I'm not stealing anything. And then he like found out the app, called them up, and sent a big complaint about me for taking a photo in the store. And then they stopped letting me use the app. It's like,
What the fuck?
you told me to fucking do it. Like, maybe you should have more communication with the stores you're doing it at. Oh, what? So that was weird.
I will cross in here. Sure. If this doesn't work, we'll head back, so.
You tell me I'm not like most girls, and learn to kiss me with your eyes closed. Something about the phrase, something about how I have to be unlike the women. I call sisters in order to be wanted, makes me want to spit your tongue out, like I'm supposed to be proud you picked me, as if I should be relieved you think I'm better than them. Isn't this written by a dude? To be soft is to be powerful. You deserve to be completely found in your surroundings, not lost within them. Accept yourself as you were designed. Your body is a museum of natural disasters. Can you grasp how stunning that is? Losing you was the becoming of myself. Other women's bodies are not our battlegrounds. Remove if that's what you want to do, just as much as keeping all the hair on your body is okay if that's what you want to do. You only belong to yourself. Apparently it is ungraceful of me to mention my period in public, because the actual biology of my body is too real. It is okay to sell what's between a woman's legs more than it is okay to mention its inner workings. The recreational use of this body is seen as beautiful, while its nature is seen as ugly. You were a dragon long before he came around and said you could fly. You will remain a dragon long after he's left. I want to apologize to all the women I've called pretty before I've called them intelligent or brave. I'm sorry I made it sound as though something as simple as what you're born with is the most you have to be proud of. From now on I will say things like, you are resilient, or you are extraordinary. Not because I don't think you're pretty, but because you are so much more than that. I think that's a bit far. I have what I have and I'm happy. I've lost what I've lost and I'm still happy. You look at me and cry, everything hurts. I hold you and whisper, but everything can heal. The goddess between your legs makes mouths water. Wasn't he just saying, don't treat women that way? You are your own soulmate. Hair. If it was not supposed to be there, it would be not be, it would. We are at war with what